I'm back in England after 3 months in Spain. Boo. And I've just been to the greengrocers. I've got a load of fruit. So we're going to make a fruit salad and talk about money. How much did it cost me to spend 3 months in Spain in my van? So I've got categories of where I spent the money. I was an absolute nerd and kept a spreadsheet of every single penny. So I can give you an idea of roughly how much it will cost to spend 3 months in your van down travelling Spain. Now, I did not spend any time on campsites. I didn't spend any money on sites. So if you want to go on campsites, this is obviously going to cost you a lot more, but you'll be surprised at how little I actually spent. So let's make some fruit salad. Literally, the fruit over there was incredible, and since I've come back, I've been going to the greengrocers and spending like 20 quid a week on fruit just to try get the same taste that I had over there. So as you can imagine, the biggest things were fuel, diesel, and food. They're the biggest expenses. So I'm going to just lay out, I'll put the figures on the screen here, and I'm not going to break each one down. This is just the cost of 3 months worth of diesel first up, all the way from England. So it was a 6-hour drive down to get the ferry, and then so it's including the travel in England at this point. £618.68. Now that was the biggest expense of the entire trip, as you can imagine, but that is essentially my rent for 3 months. And also, this was when fuel was 120 a litre, not £2 like it is now. So that's obviously going to cost you more now, but £618.68 was the fuel. The next biggest one was food, which was £546.44. I ate out like only 3 times. So again, I've done this on the cheap. If you want to go eat in restaurants all the time, you're probably going to be spending a lot more than this. But this is just food for 3 months, supermarket, also cat food, cat litter, and things like that included in this. Now, supermarkets over there, they are expensive. The food was a lot. I did eat a lot. And my coping mechanism was chocolate. So I spent an awful lot of money on chocolate while I was over there. But either way, for 3 months, 546 quid. It's all right, isn't it? The next biggest one was the toll roads. So I used them once going down France and once coming back. I have since learned, because I met somebody over there, that basically my tickets were coming out of the top layer. There's 2 layers to the toll booths. My tickets were coming out the top, so essentially I was getting charged double. So I don't know if it's the roof rack or what, but the cameras were basically marking my van as commercial or something, so I had to pay double on the toll roads. But it was £141.49 total. So I think it was about 60-70 quid coming down and about 60-70 quid going back up. I still don't like France. I didn't like driving through France, so I was trying to sort of like shorten my time a little bit on the roads, but it's actually just not worth it. And the toll roads are really boring and stuff as well. So, but either way, that was it. I only did one stint a day on the toll roads. The next biggest expense was laundry at 92 quid. So I did laundry every 2 weeks. Apart from the last 2 weeks, I just pushed it until I came back to England and I could do it here. It was about between 18 and 20 euros a time. So I would, like I say, 2 weeks worth of laundry. It was sort of like 2 bedding sets and a load of clothes for 20 euros, 18, 19, 20 euros. So I did that a few times. Next up is miscellaneous. So I went to some things that run out. I went to a Chinese shop. I had to get some camera stands and things like that. So nothing necessary, just miscellaneous, £71.51. Next up is the phone. So I did make lots of boo-boos with the internet, which I will add in later. But in terms of this phone SIM cards, I ended up getting 1 SIM card a month for my phone from Spain, and that was £61.73. So it's about 20 quid a month for unlimited data. And I mean unlimited, I was using 300 gig a month, and that was fully unlimited, Movistar SIM. So that's what I ended up doing. I'll get onto the fact later that I spent 200 quid, well, wasted 200 quid on trying to find different forms of internet that didn't work. But that's another story. So as I said, I've got LPG in my van, so I had to top up. And just to give you an idea, in winter last year, I used £90 a month I was spending in winter last year on LPG in England, whereas for 3 months in Spain, I spent £60.94. So it's like 20 quid a month, which is mental, but you just don't need the heating on. Like, I'd need the heating on a little bit. That's what uses a lot of my gas. If I'm just using it to cook and do hot waters and showers, it just lasts forever. I think in England, for like 12 or 13 weeks in the summer, it cost me like 10 quid, you know? So saved quite a bit on the LPG. Love that. Only had to top up like three or four times when I was there as well. And I have one of those really weird gauges that means I don't really know when the tank's empty. So I just topped it up when it's half full, kind of thing. We're looking good so far. Okay, and the last thing I spent money on was vets. Again, I have learnt since going there that you do not need to worm a cat before you come back. But I did it anyway because my vet in England told me I had to. When I did my research, the legal requirements said no, but my vet said yes. So I was like, well, I don't want to get to the port and end up in a situation where my cat's going to get quarantined. So I went to the vet, and that was £32.56 for basically them to administer my own worming tablet that I could do myself, just to sign a form. Ridiculous, but we're not going to get into that. So the total of everything for all of that, diesel, LPG, toll roads, phone, food, laundry, miscellaneous, and vet, you're looking at £1,533.02. So that's what I actually spent over there. So if you divide that by 3 months, it's £511 a month, which is just crazy cheap. So there's obviously other costs like getting down there. So the ferry, the animal, the cat health certificate thing, fuel this side of England, and LPG, because I topped everything up before I went. So I'm going to include that in the prices. So the ferry was £113. I went from Newhaven to Dieppe. It was a 4-hour crossing. On the way there, it was a breeze. On the way back was revolting. I spent the entire time trying not to throw up, and I was going to go do the Santander ferry down next winter, but I'm not doing that now. I'm not risking it. I'd rather drive through France than deal with that. Yeah, the animal health certificate, I have done a separate video on this, how much it costs to get Savannah in here, but you're talking with the rabies vaccine and the animal health certificate, it was 250 quid for her, which is just outrageous. I had a full tank of fuel before I left, which was 120. It's now 200 to fill the tank. God, you can imagine how difficult it's been coming back. And I had a full tank of LPG, which was about 20 quid. So that's an extra £503. So if you're totaling up everything, you know, tickets there, the lot, £2,036 and 2p for 3 months. So again, still cheap, but I made a balls up with the internet. Quite badly, in fact. I spent 100 quid on a Ryoko machine that basically they said it was unlimited, but it was not unlimited. It was 15 gig, then they'd throttle you back. So it was essentially useless internet, and then it stopped working. So I basically just wasted 100 quid on that. Then my first month, because that wasn't working, I used my internet that I use in the van normally, and I obviously went over all the limits. So my first phone bill out there was 100 quid. So 200 quid of balls up mistakes, which obviously I won't make next time. So all in, including all of my mess ups and everything, you're looking at £2,236 and 2p for 3 months, which if you divide it by months, that's £745 and 34p for everything, which is less than most people's rent. And I lived off that for 3 months. So it's just over £2,000 it's cost me to get there and back. Bearing in mind it's like 1,500 miles there and 1,500 miles back. Oh, that's something else. I also wrote down my mileage, how much mileage I did, how much driving I did. And also taking to note that I did stay still at that nature reserve for 3 weeks. So I didn't travel for 3 weeks either. But you know, gives you the idea. So my complete mileage of the trip, if you love numerology, you're going to love this, because I started on 121717 and I came back on 125125. I love that. So 3,408 miles in total for those 3 months as well. I think that's pretty good going. I honestly expected to spend more than that. And if you take out my mistakes, you're looking at basically, you know, 500 a month, 550 quid a month, which is nothing. I know it's cheap to live like this anyway, but there you go. That gives you an idea. If you're thinking of doing it, it's not as expensive as it needs to be. You can do things on the cheap. I love doing things on the cheap. We love a freebie. And I just enjoy going on nature walks and stuff, so I didn't really do any excursions and things like that. Obviously, if you want to go visit expensive things and have days out and go on boat trips and all of that, you're going to be looking at a lot more. But this is as cheap as you can do it, basically. And then we have a lovely little fruit salad that we've made from the greengrocers. My pineapple is not quite ripe yet, so I'm going to leave that a couple of days and have that after that. But I will enjoy some lovely fruit. The English vlogs will carry on. I am so glad I ended up actually with a broken laptop, because when I came back, I did nothing for like a month. I'm so glad I've had that backlog of footage, because, oh my God, I had such a culture shock coming back. I was not expecting it at all, right? And then I know I had a meltdown going through France, yes, and I struggled sort of with the first bit of the trip. But as soon as I got into Spain, absolutely fine. When I met all these people, like, it was just so much fun. I was kind of excited to come home, because after the heart attack, that kind of was just the end of the holiday for me at that point. I was just like, I just want to see the people I love now. So that kind of was the end of it for me, but I was excited about coming back, and I was excited for all of maybe, I don't know, 40 minutes of being back. And then I was like, oh, I don't like it here at all. I don't belong in England. That is something I have learned. I do not belong here at all. I have been in like a little depressed bubble for about a month. So I'm really glad I had that backlog of footage to come out, because I didn't really do anything. I didn't film anything. I didn't do anything. I was just trying to adjust to being back here in this climate and stuff. Also, it was freezing, so I was just a miserable little so-and-so. So I'm all right now, you know, the weather's better, spring is here. I have been off and I've done a few bits, which I will show you in the next vlog. And I'm trying to sort of like settle back in, but it's just made it so obvious to me that I don't belong in this country. And we've got to get some long-term plan about going, because if it wasn't for the 90 days, I'd have just carried on. The biggest expense is getting there and back. Once you're there, as you've seen, you know, I'm not spending any more than I would here. So it is just a case of trying to figure out how I can do that again. It was wonderful to not have to deal with like condensation or the LPG or the constant fight in the cold. And I went from living outside to living inside again the first month I was back here, which was just such a shock. I just really enjoy living outside and living that slow pace of life, and I've come back and it's a bit jarring, but we're doing what we can. We're trying to keep Spain alive as much as possible by eating some fabulous fruits. I am climbing some peaks, going wild swimming. I've done a lot of workouts because I came back about 8 to 10 kilograms heavier than when I left. I ate chocolate as a coping mechanism. So I have dropped quite a bit of body fat since I've come back. So I've sort of been on a bit of a mission for that. But yeah, we're all right now. But my God, absolutely did not enjoy coming back to England one bit. So that's it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And thank you to my Patreon members and my YouTube members. You guys are fabulous. Love you a lot. And I will put up another Back in England vlog next week. So I hope this was helpful. It gives you an insight if you are thinking about doing it, because it really doesn't cost that much. So don't let anybody tell you otherwise. You can do it on the cheap. And thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace out and stay wild.